There's time for everything.
I agree. I love this one. Where did this one come from? This one,
I captured myself.
Through life's experiences, right? Yeah, life's experiences will humble you and teach you a lesson. Okay, thank you very much.
We love it.
I love your quote. Yeah. How are you doing, by the way? Everything okay?
I'm fine.
I'm wondering why Roland is resting his left hand on his forehead.
I'm just thinking about the coup, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the coup.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Because you go up north of Gabon, you find Cameroon. Paul Biya has been there, and Equatorial Guinea also has a family that. Well, if it's not the uncle, it would be the son or the cousin or somebody like that who is always in place. And Africa is repleted with some of these things. And to know that West Africa had just experienced a number of coups and ECOWAS had been in the midst of it, I think.
It was difficult news to wake up to. When I came in, that was George. That was the first story today.
You're saying it was difficult?
Yeah, it was.
It was not surprising.
Oh, you are not surprised?
Well,
you boycott election results and say that now you are in charge. Like, I mean,
there's this particular video of a president of Africa who seemed to be limping, had stroke. And we're talking about this gentleman, and still, and this is a family that has ruled that country for over 50 years.
Yeah, 56 years actually.
Okay, and if you take these matters into perspective and you look at how Africans, so-called, tend to use what they call the democratic process or means to lord onto their countries, try to make everybody subservient, including key institutions and then citizens, and then subsequently abuse their power, then some of these coups, based on who is arguing, will be seen to be right.
Yeah.
But is that the best way you have to rule your country? And I think that we just haven't done what is right.
Yeah.
And I guess we deserve what we
are
get.
guessing.
You understand? If you take a look at currently the countries we have in Africa, that so-called seem to have embraced democracy. And I keep saying this, the constitutions of the country are not the problem. The people or the leaders of these so-called democratic countries who have to exercise decisions using discretion. The power of discretion is what has been abused. That is why citizens across Africa, West Africa essentially, because we are located within this block, are suffering. And every time we say that we have to change the constitution, it's not the Ghana constitution we have to change.
Exactly.
If we have a president who decides that he's going to abuse his power because the constitution arrogates that power to him constantly, that president is going to be a democratic despot. Do you understand?
Yes.
The last election in Ghana, 8 people died.
Yes.
And as of
yet,
now,
nothing has been done about it.
No one within the circles of this government has said that we are putting in place a commission of inquiry, etc. And we want to know and ascertain who gave the orders for the shot to be taken and the lives to be lost. As a result, we need some level of inquiry, some level of reconciliation. Nobody has done that.
And we're in 2023 getting ready for another general election in just a few months.
Then will be there some foolish people will just get up and go and do something. Then we have
but it's
then
true,
we'll have people on the street who will be supporting them.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if there's anything in this country or any other country, the media cannot operate. The so-called lawyers who are the best economists, because in Ghana every lawyer is the best economist, the best finance person, the best communicator. They won't have the chance to be operating. We're not going to have a free media. We're not going to have people moving around the way it is. You see, and that is why we need to protect what we have. That is why I'm not surprised what's happening in Gabon.
In Gabon.
It's not surprising, but it's still difficult to hear, Roland. And the difficult thing is, I think we woke up to news in April or so that there had been a constitutional reform in Gabon, which was allowing for a limitless term in office for the president. That meant that this president, whose election has currently been overthrown, so to speak, could be president for life if he kept winning the elections. And the problem that the military has identified is that this particular election was not free and fair. They are annulling the results because they do not believe that it was the democratic process was followed. and the elections were probably rigged. And so even though he has been elected president constitutionally, they do not accept it. And to think that a president, well, his family has, the presidency has been in his family for 56 years. This is his third re-election. He's ruled for 7 years at a time for 2 consecutive terms. And he's quite sick. He's quite unwell, and he still wants to continue to be president. I think that, I don't know if ECOWAS can step in at this time or the AU can step in at this time, but the constant news about coup d'etats and revolutions in Africa is scary, and it's also close to us.
But you see, that's what Roland said a few days back, and I remember clearly that these leaders of these institutions that you have mentioned, how did they come into power themselves? How are they maintaining their countries themselves? How are they ruling their countries? And when you're done answering that question, then you ask that, are they even in good standing to be able to propose some of these solutions that they propose on the table on a daily basis? Once we are done answering that question, then we are good to go. Because those who sit at the helm of affairs are still the same people who, you just mentioned, you just used the word, lord their will on the people. I mean, you can clearly see that the choice of the people is Mr. A, you can tell. But the machinery and the systems available or that have been instituted, like age-old institutions, will just not allow democracy to work. So people who were not voted for, and you can clearly see from the numbers get manipulated. Listen, people are beating here, just here in this country.
The scary thing is they are using the democratic process. So it's constitutional that he can be re-elected, because now you can be president for as long as you are re-elected. There's no limit to the terms of office.
Okay.
So for as long as you are re-elected, you can continue to be president. So he can be president for life.
I get it, but we are, so what? So what do you, so then if you rig an election,
so
you call it constitutional. If you chew ballot papers, you call it constitutional. Is that what you're talking about?
So
you chew ballot papers, you call it constitutional.
So listen,
you hit or you butt somebody in the eye.
That's violence.
Like, what are you talking about?
No.
So even political parties. We're not even talking countries. Even political parties cannot even control their own affairs. Now it graduates to the national. Now it graduates to Africa. And you're trying to tell me that sequentially, I mean, taking it from below, as I have just demonstrated, we are being democratic.
You don't understand.
I won't understand.
You don't understand what I said. What I said was they seem to be relying on the democratic process to do the wrong thing. What I said?
Debbie.
So basically, what it is you can be re-elected. So the problem now is that there has been a re-election and the military and the people do not agree, okay, that the electoral process was free and fair and that one family can continue to rule for over 56 years.
Which is wrong.
Which is wrong. So relying on this so-called democratic process, this re-election can continue to happen. One person can continue to be re-elected for as long as he is alive. He can be president for life if he wins the election. So how does he win the election? This recent election, the results which was announced this morning, appears to have been rigged. So, you know, it looks like we are depending on or relying on democracy, but that's actually
a big problem. Let's look at the African map and see the countries. You see the countries around, then we'll start. So you go. Cote d'Ivoire, Ouattara has changed the thing.
Thank you. We were here when Ouattara
Sierra
changed
Leone
this
has
thing.
not been too peaceful. It's just enjoying some relative peace. When you come to Gabon, beside that you have Equatorial Guinea. Paul Biya is also up there. Bassa, Nyama, Trocan, DRC is Africa.
Mali,
which country
Burkina Faso, Mali, Burkina Faso. All these countries are there. Charlie, let's take a break.
Maybe South Africa. South Africa is fine. You see, you know, these are some of the things. So that Africa now. Anyway, so let's take you through what we have this morning. I think that for the better parts, let's stop the lamentations. It's part of the books of the Bible. So let's come to the books of Africa. Now, this morning, we'll be having a discussion, and we'll be opening also on the phone lines on the relative issue. I don't know whether maybe we can change
We can change
We
what?
got to change this morning. We wanted to talk about weight loss.
But
So
you
maybe
wanted
should
to
open-
talk about coup d'etats, eh?
No. Well,
And democracy, and why democracy seems to not work in Africa. Maybe we should open the
yeah,
phone
we can
lines and
change it.
ask-
Let's change
yeah,
it.
Let's change it.
The last time
Yeah.
you brought a revolution, right?
Yes, I did.
So we are back. Our revolutionary leader is back.
I
So
did.
we've changed.
Yeah.
So this morning we'll be talking about, if you look at the systems of democracy in Africa and how they don't seem to be working. What are your views about why we have these ongoing? So
Yes.
That why isn't democracy working in Africa? Number one.
Or coups
Number
rampant.
two, exactly. Why are the twos? Did I say twos? Coups. I beg your pardon. Coups becoming rampant. We need to hear from you. You are on ground. You know what you're feeling in your hearts, in your pockets, in your churches, in your communities, in your hospitals, in your workplaces. I mean, as a Ghanaian and as an African, can you explain to us this morning what your thoughts are on why democracy seems to not be working in this side of the world and why coups are rampant? Mejina is one of our ardent listeners.
Yeah.
Always
He
the first
watches
caller.
all the time. And I don't know if he passes for a serial caller, but he's always calling us.
Mejina, do you use a
we
landline?
appreciate you. Mejina, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us here on TV3Newday. What are your thoughts about this one?
Let me tell you the secret.
Okay.
Okay.
The secret is that I don't watch television that will at the end of the day, will not give me any positive impact into my life.
fantastic.
Okay.
So to watch somebody, to give the person money and to doom yourself, I will not watch. That's why that is the secret of watching TV3.
Wow. Thank you.
So we have to
Thank you
award
so
All your
much.
products are very, very educative and mature programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that is why I always follow TV3.
We appreciate you. Anyway,
Today,
let's head into it. Yeah.
You see, Africa, I am telling you that because of our thinking, that's why we are where we are, and we cannot grow. Africa, we are the hypocritic people in the world. We fear to speak the truth. We only admire people when we see them doing good to us. But when they are doing good to effect our change in life forever, we don't want that. But we want it to be our own self. We are the target of our own self. We are eating ourselves, but we don't want to say the truth. So the difficulty is that Africans don't think. Have you ever seen African coming out with an innovative idea? If Africa is come to innovate something, the person will be living outside Africa. Come to the continent that has a majority of youth in their population. But what we produce? Go to the Ghana market. All you see is fashion. All the fashion is from outside. What are we doing to ourselves?
Thank you, Mejina.
Mejina, we appreciate your thoughts.
No Africa except me and you will go to heaven. The rest will not go to heaven.
Amen. Also for Mejina.
Thank you, Mejina, for your thoughts this morning. It says no African will go to heaven except me and you. Anyway.
Okay, so I have this one from Guy G.
Okay.
Guy G says that democracy in Africa has come under considerable pressure over the last decade. Satisfaction with the way that democracy is performing has fallen. And this is in part due to a decline in public confidence in the quality of elections, how free, fair, and credible they are. Guy G, Cantonments, Accra.
All right, thank you.
Gaiji.
Thank you, Gaiji, for that one. Ebo Samoni, good morning to you. You're also watching. Let's head straight to Johnny's Bite.